The Cornhuskers went through 7 practices in the 8 days they spent in Miami preparing for the Orange Bowl. But there's more to do in Florida than play football. Monday night, the Huskers forgot about red dogs and blitzes and learned about perfectas and quinellas at the Hollywood Dog Track. Players that were accustomed to analyzing zone defenses and double coverage were busily studying the vast amount of information in the track program. Some of the players were as successful at the track as they are on the field. I-back Roger Craig wouldn't divulge how much money he was raking in, but did say he had a good night. Junior defensive end Tony Felici had a good night at the track. He combined skill and a little luck to sack the house for over $200.
I've bet a few dogs before, but this last race we handicapped a little bit, Scott and Kevin Seibel and myself. And, you know, it's more or less luck, but then again, this time it was a little handicap that I learned about 5-6 years ago.
Some of the Huskers think this could be their lucky week, and winning at the track could be a sign of things to come. You guys, you're winning big here. You think that's a good omen?
Well, it could be. I can't say, though. We have to wait until Friday and see what happens on the game.
The 8th race at the Hollywood Dog Track Monday night was labeled the University of Nebraska football race. The number 2 dog, Pecos Bad Hombre, took first, and the owner of that dog was presented the Nebraska Cup by players Tony Felici, Roger Craig, and center Dave Remington. Sunday, Nebraska coach Tom Osborne rewarded his players for their hard work by giving them the day off. Most of the Huskers soaked up the sun by playing in the pool. For many of the players, it was the first prolonged chance to enjoy the sunshine and think about all the people back in Lincoln.
Yeah, it is pretty rough. You know, consider back home's probably 60, 70 degrees cooler, and you don't feel the snow scrunching underneath your feet every time you walk. It's a lot of fun.
I tell you, the sun sure is a nice change from the cold back home.
Several of the young ladies watching the players frolic in the pool are more than just interested bystanders. These are the wives of the married Nebraska players. It's quite a vacation for the wives. When the team leaves for practice, the wives head for the pool.
We hit the pool about 10 o'clock, and we sit around until they get back to practice.
Laura Matheson is among the sunbathing wives. Her husband, Bruce, is now second-string quarterback for the Huskers. She says her husband's new responsibilities have given her new worries.
When he gets in, my stomach starts turning, and I just hope he does his best, and I'm his loudest fan. I think about it a lot.
Nebraska brought a large group of players to Miami, but several who made the trip know they won't be playing in the Orange Bowl. They're the red shirts, younger players who are taking a year off from competition. Sioux City's Rod Yates is one of the red shirts who made the Orange Bowl trip.
We all suit up for the game, you know, and that'll be exciting because red shirts don't suit up during the regular season for the games. So this will be our first experience in suiting up for a ball game.
The red shirts act out the part of the enemy in practice. The bad guys, in this case, Clemson. Yates says the role is not nearly as bad as it sounds.
It's not too bad, you know. It's pretty exciting, you know. You learn their offense, and you pretty much make up their team, you know, their ball players. They give you, you know, like the role of their receivers, and you do that, and so it's not too bad. You really like it.
Newcastle's Randy Nelson certainly doesn't mind sitting out a year as a redshirt. Right now, he's living out a childhood dream.
It's really been my dream. I mean, I really look forward to it, and when they first started recruiting me, it really got me excited, and my whole family was excited, and I'm really glad to be down here.
By now you've discovered that life in Florida can be pretty easy. You can sit by the pool, get a tan, or take in a football game. It sure beats sitting in the snow in Siouxland. Well, some Siouxlanders decided they'd come to Florida. South Sioux City attorney Rodney Smith and his wife have an easy way to reach Florida. They have their own plane. The Smiths headed for Florida Sunday. This is their 4th Orange Bowl trip, so it's almost a ritual for the Smiths. But it's the first time for the Nelsons from Wakefield. They were raring to go early Tuesday morning. decked out in their homemade T-shirts. The Nelsons even made their own souvenirs.
It's just a great trip, and we're going to take in Disneyland. The Orange Bowl is a great opportunity. The children have not been to any bowl games. We haven't either by any means.
I think we'll just have to watch for red T-shirts with Wakefield on the front.
The Nelsons will bring back some lifelong memories of their first Orange Bowl visit. But even Nebraska fans who haven't seen an Orange Bowl in person can recall watching some exciting Orange Bowls on television. The Huskers made their debut here in the Orange Bowl back in 1955. But it wasn't a memorable experience for Nebraska. The Huskers lost in their first Orange Bowl to Duke, 34-7. 9 years later, in 1964, Bob Devaney brought his troops to this Orange Bowl in Miami, and the Huskers came out on top. Their first Orange Bowl win ever, 13-7 over Auburn. In 1966, the Huskers came south once again, playing here in the Orange Bowl for the national championship against Bear Bryant's Crimson Tide of Alabama. Well, the Bear got the best of Nebraska that day, 39-28. The Huskers came close, but Alabama was crowned national champions. In 1971, Devaney got his national championship here at the Orange Bowl, beating Auburn 17-12. It was the first of 2 straight national championships for the Huskers. In 1972, the Huskers came south once again to play here in the Orange Bowl. They took on Alabama's Crimson Tide, and it was a chance for revenge for the Huskers. Well, they got that revenge. They beat Bear Bryant and his Alabama team 38-6 that New Year's Day, and the Huskers had won their second straight national championship. Nebraska came back to Miami once again in 1973. That was the year that Johnny Rodgers won the Heisman Trophy. Well, it was a gorgeous day, and Johnny Rodgers had a beautiful day running the football. He scored 4 touchdowns and threw for another as Nebraska beat Notre Dame 40-6. The Huskers became the first team ever to win 3 straight Orange Bowls. But from then on, the Huskers didn't appear in the Orange Bowl too often. Matter of fact, it was 6 years later in 1979 in that rematch with Oklahoma. Earlier that year, Nebraska had beaten Oklahoma. But it was not to be. New Year's Day, 1979, Oklahoma beat Nebraska 31-24, even though the Huskers scored 14 points and in a late comeback rally stopped in the 4th quarter. The Huskers overall, 4 victories in 7 attempts to win in the Orange Bowl. Whenever you have a game which matches up 2 highly ranked teams, you have the potential of a national championship game. With such high stakes, the media's attention is drawn toward a game like this. Andy Massimino supplies press credentials for the media, and this year has been among the busiest.
I think the situation is that we've got the #1 game, or the potential #1 game, and whenever you've got the top-ranked team and a 4th-ranked team, you're going to get a lot of requests to cover it.
Are there that many more people than ever before? Is this the most amount of people that you've ever had try and get in?
Yeah, I've been here 7 years, and these are the most credentials I've prepared. So it's a bigger game by far. We probably have turned down more people than we have, at least I know for a fact, in the 7 years that I've been here.
The media represents newspapers, radio, and television stations across the country. The Orange Bowl is expected to have the most complete coverage of any of the major bowls.